I'm Alexis Cito. I'm here at the All Stream Center for the Mesh Conference 2012. We have lots of incredible speakers here today, but I'm lucky enough to be with the man behind it all, Mark Evans. Mark, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. One of the men, or one of the people behind the scene. There are actually 6 of us, so I don't want to take all the credit.
Okay, not all of the credit. Just a 6th. Okay, perfect. Well, why don't you tell us a bit about the Mesh Conference as a whole?
So Mesh was started 7 years ago. We had a discussion about why there wasn't anything in Toronto that was celebrating what was happening on the web. So it was sort of the dawn of the Web 2.0 era. A lot of exciting things happening in San Francisco and New York and Paris, but nothing in Toronto. And despite the fact that we had no conference planning experience, we decided that we would create an event. And not only would we create an event, but we would do it in 9 weeks from start to finish. And somehow we pulled it off. It was a little bit of magic and a lot of luck.
Wow, that's incredible. And I don't know if you know about the Media Huddle, but we're basically the voice for young media professionals. And we would like to know what, young budding media professionals can get out of the Mesh Conference.
Well, Mesh is essentially about inspiration. And about celebrating ideas and new thoughts and new ideas and new relationships. I think one of the things that we forget within the digital age is the power and the value of real-world networking and gleaning insight and experience from other people. So one of the things that we've done in terms of structuring Mesh is, although we've got great content, a lot of the really good stuff happens between sessions. So it happens at lunch, it happens during cocktails, it happens during coffee, it happens afterwards when people sort of exchange business cards and they touch base again. And we think that's as interesting as the things that you learn from the people on stage. This
year you implemented the Startup Scholarship. So what's so important in these kind of like networking events and that sort of thing to have startup entrepreneurs? Why is that important, and what advice would you have for those startup entrepreneurs?
So as you know, Toronto's startup community is in what I call an entrepreneurial renaissance, is that there's so much activity, there's so much enthusiasm, there's a lot of excitement. And what we wanted to do was support the startup community and capture that vitality and that excitement about doing new and interesting things. And I think the benefit for Mesh attendees is that sort of waves over them. You talk to young entrepreneurs who see the world as being limitless and see all kinds of opportunities. And I think that rubs off on people in a very positive way. And I think for the entrepreneurs is it gives them access to people that they would never otherwise been able to see. I mean, not that Mesh is an expensive conference, but for a young entrepreneur, it has its fiscal restraints. And so what we've done for 29 startup entrepreneurs is allow them to come for free and giving them the chance to experience Mesh in a very accessible way and give them a small taste of what the world is sort of beyond their circles.
What kind of advice would you have for them outside of the Mesh Conference as ways to kind of utilize digital strategies and like utilize social media to get involved and to get their brand out there?
So the question is asked quite often in terms of how do you leverage social, how do you leverage the web? And one question people ask me is, well, can I take a course or can I go to school? And I think about it a lot and I go, the real knowledge comes from actually doing it, from immersing yourself. Maybe you make a mistake or two, but you do it. Not to steal the Nike slogan, but and the other thing, sort of building on do it, is that there's no downsides when you're young to embrace entrepreneurialism and to embrace a startup. What's the worst that can happen? Then you go work for another startup or you go work for a large company. But the experience that you'll gain from being an entrepreneur, I think in many cases will far outweigh anything that you learn during 3 or 4 years at university or college.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us today. We really appreciate it. And I'm Alexis Cito for themediahuddle.com.